Previously on the Bruce Collins Show, DNA test results proved that Chad is the mayor's estranged twin. And all this time, I just thought he was strange.
Bruce Collins calls. He's on the air tonight. Something crawls in the pale moonlight. Oh, turn on the radio. The Bruce Collins Show. The Bruce Collins Show. The Baron of Broadcasting. The Bruce Collins Show. Chad Miles laughs, a wicked twisted sound. Aftermaths of souls that can't be found. Oh, turn on the radio. The Bruce Collins Show. The Bruce Collins Show. The Baron of Broadcasting. The Bruce Collins Show. Chad Miles laughs, a wicked twisted sound. Aftermaths of souls that can't be found. Oh, turn on the radio. The Bruce Collins Show. The Bruce Collins Show. The Baron of Broadcasting. The Bruce Collins Show.
Welcome back to the Bruce Collins Show. Thank you so much for joining us. And if you would, please subscribe to the Bruce Collins Show YouTube channel and like this video, as that helps the YouTube algorithm. Also, we have a Facebook page. Check out the Bruce Collins Show page on Facebook. Our guest tonight is Brent Dusing, the CEO of TruPlay. TruPlay is a Christian gaming app which made the national news for the claims of censorship from Google and TikTok. You'll want to hear this tonight. First, let me introduce you to Christopher Cartwright. Ladies and gentlemen, scholars, peasants, time travelers, and any raccoons that snuck in through the back door, please rise emotionally, if not physically, for the one, the only, Christopher Cartwright, a being so dazzling that Wi-Fi signals strength in his presence, a mind so vast that search engines consult him, a voice so smooth that jazz musicians take notes. Rumor has it that Christopher was born during a solar eclipse, holding a microphone in one hand and a fully formed opinion in the other. Christopher once used his powers of persuasion to negotiate peace between two houseplants. Christopher, welcome back.
Hey, thanks, Bruce. Hey, Bruce,
Yeah?
are you forgetting something?
I'm pretty sure I paid you back.
No, no, you forgot my introduction.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Hey, everybody, it's Chad Miles.
Wow, you really made that special.
I do my best.
Thanks for the introduction. I think I will pass that along to my fellow university compadres.
Oh, I didn't realize you were in school.
Yeah, I'm studying journalism.
Well, you won't find it here.
Actually, I'm an intern here.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Bruce doesn't have to pay you.
It's what they call a learning opportunity.
I'm hoping to be an anchor someday.
That's easy.
Like, how would you know?
Chad, if Christopher wants to be an anchor, all he has to do is get in a boat and somebody will throw him into the ocean.
Somehow I knew you weren't following along, Bruce. How do you like your classes, Christopher?
It's great. I do a lot of practicing at home and all that stuff.
How do you practice?
When I see something noteworthy, I ask myself, how would I report that?
Did someone say report?
Maybe.
As in the Chad Miles report?
The odometer spins like a clock on fire. Captain Doomsday preaching from a rusty wire. Headlines scream, they twist, they bend. The truth's a mirror that'll never mend. Chad Miles whispers, Chad Miles shouts. The world's a circus, full of doubts. Curated chaos, the news on repeat. The Chad Miles Report, where fiction meets the street. Spinning tales, breaking minds. The odometer ticks, truth's hard to find. Static buzzes through the midnight haze. Doomsday rants in his cryptic craze. Every mile a story, every spin a lie. A satellite blinks in the dying sky. Who's the captain? Who's the clown? Turn it up, turn it down. Words like thunder, truth like smoke. This report's the punchline of the joke. Curated chaos, the news on repeat. The Chad Miles Report, where fiction meets the street. Spinning tales, breaking minds. The odometer ticks, truth's hard to find. 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 Static buzzes through the midnight haze. Doomsday rants in his cryptic craze. Every mile a story, every spin a lie. A satellite blinks in the dying sky. Who's the captain? Who's the clown? Turn it up, turn it down. Words like thunder, truth like smoke. This report's the punchline of the joke.
All right,
Article
Chad,
num-
it's time for the Chad Miles Report. Take it away, Chad.
Article number 1. Back in the 1940s, carpenters would sometimes slide a newspaper between the floorboards of a house to fix uneven planks, the Washington Post reported. On January the 14th, contractor Vincent, his friends call him V2, tore up boards in a home in Fargo, North Dakota, and unsurprisingly found a newspaper page from October the 6th, 1946. When he showed the paper to the homeowner, Casey Chapman, age 75, Chapman recognized someone in the photo on the page. His mother.
Wow.
It was just a shock, Chapman said. His family had no connection to the home before he bought it in 2017. That issue of the Fargo Forum featured the 7 nominees for North Dakota Agricultural College's Homecoming Queen, one of which was Marty Anderson, Chapman's mom. She won, by the way. Anderson died in 2014. Chapman said she was very active and not afraid to take on leadership roles. My mother was a wonderful lady. He and his wife have already framed the clipping and will hang it in their renovated bedroom. That's from the Washington Post.
That's pretty amazing.
Small.
That's
Now
weird.
his mother won the North Dakota Agricultural College's Homecoming Queen. I bet they have that in a barn
Probably.
since it's agricultural. Yes, the contractor's name was Vincent. What parent named him that? No
Mr. Vincent.
creativity.
Mr. and Mrs. Vincent.
Yeah. Let's see. What should we name our son? Vincent.
Vincent. Article number 2. On February 11th, Dean Young, age 26, entered a parked landscaping van in Hialeah, Florida, allegedly with intent to steal tools inside, NBC Miami reported. However, Young became trapped in the locked van and started screaming and beating on the doors. "Help me, I'm inside," he yelled. The landscapers called police but didn't free Young from the van, as there were machetes inside that he might have used as a weapon. Smart. Young, who had posted bail in an earlier case, was held on charges of burglary and criminal mischief. NBC Miami reported.
Yeah, ordinarily it would be suspicious if there were machetes in the van, but since these were landscapers, I guess we can let it pass.
Hey, we have machetes.
Yeah.
We use them for landscaping.
Yeah.
Wink.
Machetes in our Chevys.
Sounds like a group, like a musical group.
Yeah.
And Vincent is the lead guitar player.
Yeah. It's amazing the guy
Chevys and
couldn't get out of
machetes.
it's amazing the guy couldn't get out of the van, but he could get in it.
Right. Do you think they trapped it, like they pushed the door shut?
I don't know.
That's crazy.
How do I unlock it?
I'm calling the police.
Yeah.
Article number 3. Australian TV reporter Danica Mason offered an on-air apology on February the 19th after her coverage from the Winter Olympics got a little sloppy. CTV News reported. On February the 18th, Mason reportedly stumbled over several words and wandered off topic. For example, the price of coffee in Italy and iguanas in the United States.
How specific iguanas she got off topic with.
Iguanas.
By the way, have I ever told you about iguanas?
Before one of her colleagues in the studio blamed the cold climate for her slurring.
Yeah.
The next day, Mason said she totally misjudged a situation. "I shouldn't have had a drink, especially in these conditions.
You think
It's
you're going on your job and you shouldn't have had a drink?
a
Wow,
drink.
That's quite a revelation.
It's cold. We've got altitude, and not having had dinner probably didn't help as well. It's not the standard that I set for myself." That's according to CTV.
How many drunk guys do you know on the street that go, "Hey, mister, let me tell you about the price of coffee in Italy"?
I saw
And
What a-
this
what a-
video.
iguanas are buying it.
What an oddly specific rant she went on. Iguanas?
Have you seen the video?
No.
No.
Oh, she's gone. She's very inebriated.
What does she say about iguanas?
I don't remember. It was just incoherent rambling.
Yeah.
She was that drunk.
Yeah, and every word was like this. And I was like, wow.
The iguana Olympic team has captured the silver medal.
Notice what she said. I shouldn't have had a drink.
Yeah.
A drink.
Yeah. Like
Her
when
tolerance
police,
is
more than
low.
I used to watch Cops, and the police always pulled over everybody, and they said, "How much did you have to drink?" And they always said, two beers. And it's like they're going, ugh. I think they had
And
a
they're
little more
holding
than that.
somebody's drugs who ran past them and shoved them in their pocket.
Exactly.
Every Cops episode.
In this case, this was a well-paid reporter whose station let her go to the Olympics. That's a bad move for your career.
And we're talking about it.
Yeah.
Really bad.
It won't make it to her highlight reel.
Low light reel.
Low light.
So, Christopher, as a journalism student, you need to be aware of these things.
Don't drink before work. Got it.
When you feel like you want to talk about iguanas, you've had too much.
Politely excuse yourself.
Or the price of coffee in Italy.
I had an iguana when I was a kid in the Zimmer store.
Yeah. What do you think
You
about
drank
the
coffee.
stock market today? Have you seen the price of coffee in Italy? Man.
And finally, article number 4. In Sherman, Texas, pediatric dentist Kelly Buck, age
wait,
36.
that's very important. She's a child dentist.
Pediatric dentist.
Yeah. So
Was arrested on February the 16th after someone contacted police about her practicing dentistry and appearing to be intoxicated, WCAX-TV reported. Buck failed a field sobriety test and was charged with a felony. If convicted, she faces up to 2 years in prison.
Oof.
It's according to WCAX.
And notice she's not the hygienist. So her job is probably like root canals and cavities, and she's going like this.
Hey,
Well, she
she
can
went
get
to
a job
lunch with
as
Danica Mason.
Yeah, I was about to say she can get a job as a Olympic reporter.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh boy.
I mean, that's very dangerous. And also kids are pretty sharp. They can pick up when somebody's not behaving rightly.
So if I'm reading this correctly, she was in her office practicing dentistry and somebody felt the need to call the police because she was so intoxicated.
And it may just have been Novocaine. Might not have been alcohol. Should have been, I shot myself with the Novocaine.
She's
the
inhaling
dentist.
the laughing gas.
There you
She's
go.
the dentist
dental
from
surgery.
she's the dentist from Little Shop of Horrors.
Exactly. It would be a little shop of horrors.
Yeah, right.
So there you have it. Thank you so much, Chad, for letting us know about the dumbest news of the week.
Thank you.
You know
for
what?
having
In
me.
all seriousness, that tagline came from AI. I asked them, I plugged in the Chad Miles report and I said, this is what we do on the show. And they said, you should use that tagline. This is the dumbest news of the week. I like that. Don't you? In
Thanks,
fact, we'll make
AI.
T-shirts someday. The Chad Miles report, the dumbest news of the week. We aspire high at this program.
That's
we
my
go
legacy.
for that's right. Thanks, guys. See you next time.
See ya.
Our guest today is Brent Dusing. Brent Dusing is the founder and CEO of TruPlay, a gaming platform created to bring high-quality, fun, and biblically sound entertainment to audiences worldwide. His company recently made national headlines. We're going to talk about that today. TruPlay's website is trueplaygames.com. Brent Dusing, welcome to the Bruce Collins Show.
Thanks, Bruce. Good to be with you.
Now, it's great. By any chance, do you have a brother named Bruce?
No, I don't. Sorry.
Okay.
Just Bruce Wayne. It's the only other Bruce that I know.
I have a brother named Brent.
Oh,
So,
wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Actually, they were going to go with 3 names. The oldest one is Phil Collins, if you can believe that.
Is it for real?
Yeah. But they were going for Philip, Peter, and Paul. But for some reason, after Phil was born, they decided Brent and Bruce.
Mm.
Anyway, let's talk about your company first, and then I want to get into the things that are going on with it. What inspired you to launch TruPlay Games, and what gap in the market did you see that others were missing?
So at TruPlay, we started this company because we were very concerned for what's going on with children. Things have never been worse for kids in America than they are today. For example, anxiety, suicide, and depression rates are all-time highs. The average male is exposed to pornography when he's 12. If there are many instances of very toxic sexual content, demonic content, hyper-violent content pushed on kids, brain damage from drug usage is an all-time high for kids, and only 31% of children believe in God without a doubt, and only 2% of kids have a biblical worldview. The reason for this is very simple. The average child's on a screen 50 hours a week, and what they're consuming is anywhere from neutral to negative regarding the things of God. So there's a lot of content out there, made by Disney, put on YouTube, made by Roblox, but a lot of that content is actually incredibly destructive for a child's psyche, for their understanding of who they are, and for their soul. So what we did with TruPlay was we said, look, let's build something that's incredible. Video games, videos, digital comics, everything done with a high degree of excellence and beauty, but also that contains God's truth. Every piece of content we make in TruPlay has biblical values and stories with characters that are both relatable, but also uplifting and really positive examples to set for children.
So, what's the balance between faith-based values and with creating games that compete in the mainstream market?
So it's interesting when you make video games. You kind of we built this on 4 principles. The first is fun. So when you make video games, they've got to be fun. Nobody plays a game because they don't like it or because they have to. So the games are built, and we spent a lot of time building what are called game mechanics. That means the things you do inside a game. Are you matching pieces like Candy Crush? Are you jumping up and down over platforms like Mario? Are you fighting bad guys and swinging a sword like a combat game? So you make the mechanics fun, and what you do inside the game is fun. And then we build in and rewrite stories that convey a faith-based message. Some of our games are biblical stories. King David's Battles is one of our games. There's a game called Stained Glass, it takes you through the story of the Old Testament. You match glass pieces, they form a stained glass window, and a character comes to life and tells you their story as each window is completed. So the faith element is woven in terms of the story that's told and sometimes in the actions that you take inside the games.
Again, I want to remind our listeners and watchers that we're speaking with Brent Dusing today. And again, the website is TruPlayGames.com. Now, Brent, what does success look like for TruPlay beyond revenue growth?
Our real goal at TruPlay is to transform a generation of children. We want to see children come back to Christ. There's been so many negative things that have come against kids. We want to see a generation turn positively for the things of God, things that are positive and true. When you look at ideas about what is identity, what is your purpose in life, there's a God that made you, that loves you, that has a plan for your life. There are gifts that you have that make you unique and special. Those are all things that you find in the Bible, but that kids don't really see in social media today or in popular content, or if they do, they see a twisted version of it. They see messages about uniqueness and specialty as things that relate to, promoting yourself on social media or kind of toxic sexual ideas that you really shouldn't be talking about with kids anyway. So we really want to see a generation of children change, and we want to inspire them with content and stories and characters that they can take with them the rest of their lives.
One thing that's, becoming popular, obviously, is the use of AI. And recently I saw where I used to promote professional wrestling. It was a disaster. I did it. I actually promoted at the San Jose Civic Auditorium. And it was a bad idea, but fortunately that led to other things. Eventually I went on AM radio somehow through all of that. But recently WWE, they used AI in showing one of their wrestlers, and AI put a title belt on the wrestler that was their competitor's title belt. And it made the news, and it made people look bad, and I'm sure there were meetings about that within WWE. Where do you see the role of AI in your company? How does it help? And where do you see the trend going with AI and gaming apps?
Yeah, there's a couple things I would say about how AI has affected us. One is we can use AI to help create content, so it can compress and reduce the cost of us making content that you find inside the platform. So that's been a net positive, is our ability to leverage AI to do content production quicker and for less costs. The negative side of AI has been a story that's been covered now in Fox News and The Blaze and the Western Journal and the Federalist, Eric Metaxas as well, which is that Google and TikTok's AI algorithms have blocked us from advertising. So they will prevent TruPlay from running any ads or promoting our business at all to parents, children, anybody, because they say, well, you can't promote your religious ideology in ads. Well, here's the thing. They allow satanic games to advertise. They've allowed Roblox that have with literally images of a pentagram drawn in blood. That ad was seen by millions of people. They've allowed ads that have Buddhist for Buddhist products, for Buddhist Buddhist ideology to advertise with no restraint. They've allowed LGBT content for kids. I mean, transgenderism, I think, requires more faith than to believe that there's a God who made us and who made you and loves you. So
Right.
they allow those things to advertise. And I'm talking about at the scale of millions and millions of people. So the issue with AI that we are battling is that AI has been used by Google and TikTok to block us, which means that the algorithms, these AI algorithms, view Christianity as negative and as harmful and dangerous content. That's a direct quote from TikTok. Your ads are dangerous and harmful. And that's something that is incredibly concerning, should be concerning to every American. Consider, as AI makes more and more decisions about who can speak on social media at all, who receives electronic funding, who, who's allowed, is your pastor allowed to preach? Is your church considered a hate group? And so it's not put on any maps or on any internet searches. Those are because if AI is making more and more decisions for people, which it is, and it will be continuing to, if these algorithms, if these language models are based on values, because there are values coded into these models, if these are based on, leftist, anti-Christian, anti-Western principles, it can take a very, very dark turn for Americans and people everywhere.
Yeah. So how did you first discover this? You submit an ad, you pay for it, and they say what? No, you can't put that on our.
Yeah. So we've received rejections from Google for over a year and a half, and from TikTok for
Wow.
over a year, saying, your ad has been blocked, your ad has been denied, your ad has been denied. And so, it winds up being a process. So first you just talk to a bot and you don't really get good reasons. And then you get somebody on the phone and they say, no, it's because you have religious wording in your app. And so if you're listening, to get this idea out of your mind, our ads, we're not out there condemning people or saying, such and so is, we hate this or anything like that. All we're doing is saying, turn game time into God time, a fun, faith-filled adventures, safe place for your kids to play.
And you're also trying to target your audience.
Of course.
Right?
See, you're right. So Google, most people use Google, most consumers, and it's free and they don't think much about this. But of course, you are the product when you're at Google. What Google sells you as an advertiser is they say, look, we have the best advertising platform in the world, and we can find you your exact customer that you want for the best price. That's their pitch. So what they would do was block our ads, and then some of them they would ask us to strip out all the faith-based messaging. So the problem is if you say fun, safe games, that could be anything, right? That could be Disney's marketing, that could be Nickelodeon's marketing. So you can't target your users. So, or they dial you down where few people can see it, and those that do cost you more money on a per person basis than you can afford to spend, or they block your ads completely, which is where we're at with TikTok. Not only can we not run ads, we can't even post on our own social channel on TikTok. That's what they've done. They've blocked us because they blocked our ads, and so we went publicly out on Fox News and other major publications and said, hey, what TikTok's doing is awful. It has to change, and that's where we're at.
And you haven't heard back from these companies saying, "Oh, this is a glitch in AI," correct?
No, we have. So we spoke to Google, and we spoke to somebody over there at a high level, and essentially she spoke to people inside the organization. They said, "Look, we're not willing to change. We're not willing to change our policies." And so, again, they're claiming it's because it's religion, but it's not, because you're allowing Satanism, which tries to classify itself as a religion all the time, as well as Buddhism. Well, if you're allowed to do that, then why can't we advertise? So it's actually we have, and they're making a conscious choice to discriminate against Christians.
And that's strange to me because their whole business is based on profit and collecting money for ads. Why wouldn't they?
Well, because it's not about the money. Because look, it's been well documented what happened before Elon Musk bought Twitter, what happened with Google, on giving a lot of YouTube strikes to Christians and conservatives over the last 10 years. This has been well documented on Twitter, on Google, where that happened. And so look, these companies are not doing things always in the interest of their bottom line. They're often doing things in the interest of serving a really dark agenda. Because if it was just about profit, 65% of Americans self-identify as Christians, right?
Mhm.
But if that's true, then why are there hardly any Christian shows on Netflix? Why is it that so many Christians get dialed down on social media platforms or get their YouTube channels blocked, right? It's because the people who make decisions at these companies view Christianity as the worst thing in the world. There's a very dark, evil agenda that they're serving, and the problem is now it's being coded into these AI, into these LLMs, or these algorithms that are being built, these AI systems that are viewing anything that has to do with the things of God, the Bible, Jesus, especially Jesus Christ by name, is blocked and banned and dialed down and restricted.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how has this censorship from these large tech companies, how's that impacted your business?
So, the good news is we can still advertise on Meta, so Facebook and Instagram, without any problems. We can also advertise on other platforms that allow us to advertise through people's games. So to be clear, we don't have ads inside our game, inside our platform, inside our games, but we can put ads in other people's games. So we do that. And we've had quite a bit of coverage, people talking about us, Christian influencers, people like Riley Gaines, Kim Walker-Smith, Eric Metaxas, the Billy Graham Association, Dean Cain, Kevin Sorbo, quite a few great people who've endorsed us and really gotten behind what we're doing. And so those things have all helped. But TikTok and Google are very large channels. They're two of the three biggest advertising platforms besides, of course, Meta/Facebook. So it has been certainly a big issue and a big problem that's had real consequences for us.
Do you know of other companies, Christian companies or faith-based companies that are receiving this kind of treatment from big companies like Google and TikTok?
Yeah, I've had multiple people approach me, both Christian charities, especially, Christian churches and charities who've had these problems as well. Absolutely.
So I understand the American Center for Law and Justice, Jay Sekulow, is involved. What actions have they taken?
So we're doing a few things. They have been partnering with us, great people there, and ACLJ has been fighting for Americans and Christians' rights for a long time. So what they've done is they've sent letters to members of Congress and senators. We've had meetings with people on Capitol Hill about enacting real legislative change. We've also sent letters directly to the head of the general counsels, the head legal officer at these companies, and written demand letters. And so there's quite a few processes in place right now. Not everything that I can speak about publicly, but there's a lot of of action we're taking and momentum that's building that's involving, getting members. We've also spoken to people in the presidential administration. So getting people in Congress and in the government and in the presidential administration to act, because this has to stop. They're actively blocking the Christian worldview. They're actively discriminating against Christians, and there's a lot of unhappy people about this. And some people are business owners like myself. Some people are pastors, and the Billy Graham Association is also an endorser and a partner with us in this battle. And they're unhappy about it. And there's also elected officials now who are aware they're also unhappy, and you can believe that action will be taken.
Mm-hmm. I used to work for a tech company. I told you which one it was before we did this interview, and they were very woke. They had Barack Obama visit their plant in Austin, and then Kamala came to Santa Clara and signed a wafer. I guess partly gave away what kind of company it was, and but they would never invite Donald Trump, and in fact, when he won the presidency, they said, "Don't talk about it in your cubicles." It's a rampant problem through these tech companies, I think.
Well, it's just what you said. If it was only about profit, they either wouldn't have invited Obama and Harris to show up, and also not invited Trump, or they would have invited all three, or they would have said, "Hey, when Obama won or when Biden won, we can talk about it. We can also talk about it when it's Trump." But to your point, there is a double standard. Why? Because look, I lived in Silicon Valley for 15 years. The people who run most of these big tech companies hate Christianity. The vast majority, not everybody, but most of them either view it as something that's ridiculous to anywhere from the worst thing in the world. That's what they think. And they make actions and make decisions accordingly. I mean, it would be like if you say you ran a daycare center, and you found out that your daycare center was next door to this this company that polluted the air, and the kids go outside, at the daycare and play recess, have fun, and they're breathing this toxic air. Now, any of us, me, I would, Bruce, I'm sure you would, I'm sure if you're listening, you'd move the daycare, even if your parents of the kids didn't know, even if you were the only person who knew, and even if it cost you money, you would move those kids because that's the right thing to do, right?
Right.
What I think is so dark is that these platforms like Google and TikTok are allowing Roblox. Roblox has, for 10 years, had instances of many children getting abducted, child pornography, child trafficking. There's a story just last month, the poor mother, 15-year-old kid in Stony Brook, New York, got abducted off of Roblox. And Roblox is not stopped it. In fact, they've allowed the behavior to continue. And Google and TikTok allow them to advertise to tens of millions of kids. So my point is, these people who run Google, who run TikTok, they're sick and they're twisted for taking money from those people and promoting those products and promoting those ideologies, satanic,
Right.
demonic ideologies, sexual, agendas for children, for small children, while not allowing the very book that Western civilization was based on, the most popular book sold every year, the most popular book in the history of the world, the Bible, content based on that, to just raise awareness. We're not asking them to do anything for us for free. But the fact that they won't even take our money shows you, back to my metaphor about the daycare, they're the polluters. And
Yeah.
they're actually happy to lose money to do destruction and damage to our society. That should tell you everything you need to know about the people who run Google and who run TikTok.
Yeah. So the company I worked at, we had a small group of Christians. We kind of all found each other, and we met in a conference room. But when they sent out the invite, it just said meeting, But meanwhile, there were, gay, lesbian, transgender groups and the raising of the rainbow flag, early in the year. So they really are pushing their own religion. It's just not Christianity.
That's
It's
100% correct.
fascinating.
Absolutely.
So Brent, what outcome are you ultimately seeking from this? Policy change, damages, public awareness?
There's two issues, three, I guess. One is public awareness, but more than that, this policy, this has to stop. So we want to be, this has cost us a lot of money, what TikTok and Google did to us, because they took our money, right? and then they didn't perform, and then they discriminated against us and blocked us. So that's the second piece. And the third piece is change, real legislative change, so that as AI becomes more powerful and more ubiquitous, meaning used everywhere, right? Used to decide, again, who gets funding, who can post on social media, what people believe to be true. It's going to replace things like Wikipedia and a lot of content that's user generated on YouTube. So we've got to put in guardrails and restrictions so that we're not allowed, Christians are not allowed to be discriminated against by these platforms, and so that these platforms don't start out with these anti-Christian values to just try to discriminate against and destroy the Christian worldview.
Yeah, you make an excellent point about AI replacing things. Is one of the things I've been thinking of is it will replace search engines eventually, which at least with
Yeah,
search engines,
right.
you might find an alternative view that's not mainstream. And instead, it's going to push out what you need to know about that subject.
You're exactly right, Bruce. In fact, that's already happening. People are already using AI to replace their searches. And that's actually why Google is the one that's ahead in the AI race. A lot of people don't realize, but they've actually leaped ahead of ChatGPT in terms of the capabilities that their LLM has. So that is a real concern, that you'll just get a regurgitated, report, if you will, from AI, rather than being able to find original sources. One of the things that I learned in college was read original sources. People say whatever they want. I mean, you can see this in the media. People, call somebody this guy's a fascist, or this guy's dangerous, or this guy's hateful. Okay, well, let's see what they say. Is this person saying something that is true or factual, or that's hateful, or are they, let's be a judge for ourselves. Let's read the books that were originally written. Go read the Bible. People will tell you, oh, the Bible contains hate speech. Okay, go read it. You tell me.
Right.
People will make all kinds of claims about what Jesus said or didn't say. Great, go read the Bible. Go see for yourself. And go understand at a root level what the original sources are, rather than having a machine which clearly has biases. I've got receipts to prove it. That clearly has biases change the whole way that you see the world and what your beliefs are.
If you and other faith-based companies lose this battle, what precedent does this set for other companies in the future?
I don't plan on losing. I think God's with us, and He's called us for a time such as this.
Okay. So is there anything our audience can do to help, and what has been the public reaction to this?
Yeah, a couple things, people. So the reaction that I have seen, whether it's from senators or people in administration or people like yourself, podcasters, Eric Metaxas, news reporters at Fox News, they've been amazed, because everybody knows that Google and TikTok have had biases. They haven't realized how blatant it is. Like I said, we're running ads with our characters, these, cartoon-like characters saying things that, hey, fun Christian games for kids, a mom and a kid playing a video game together, fun faith-filled games, safe place for your kids to play, that those are completely blocked. And then you show images of literally Roblox ads with, decapitated bodies and, pentagrams in blood and transgender content for children. And it gets to be absurd. And so, one, I think people are shocked. Now, if you're listening, what can you do? One, please go to TruPlay, check it out. You can buy it for your grandkids. If you're a grandparent, you can buy it for your kids. You can go to TruPlayGames.com, TRUPLAY Games.com. You can look at our socials. We've had a growing social community ever since this story broke. So go check that out. And yeah, we need everybody's support on this. We need people, make your senator, make your congressman aware, write him a letter and say, look, I don't want AI to destroy the Christian worldview, because that's what's at stake in America. It's not like, look, nothing will ever destroy God's word. Nothing can ever harm the Lord, but there are examples in history. Russia's a great example. Not everybody realizes this. Russia was a Christian nation until the late 1910s, when the Soviets took over, the Bolsheviks, who were very anti-Christian in their belief and the backgrounds these people came from, incredibly anti-Christian, and they essentially went through a 30, 40-year period where tens of millions of Christians were killed. Alexander Solzhenitsyn wrote about it in the Gulag Archipelago. You can go look it up. Churches were destroyed, priests were killed, Christians were rounded up in concentration camps. It doesn't get talked about much in Western media, but it was this massive conversion from a very Christian nation to a very anti-Christian nation because a small group of people seized power and they used their power to mostly destroy the church in Russia. So I say all this because we sometimes think, we used to think in America this could never happen here, and then we've seen with our own eyes how many Christians have been discriminated against actively, whether it's politically or by businesses like TikTok and Google. So anyway, if you want to get involved, write your senator, write your congressman, check out our social media pages, post it, buy our product, support us. We need everybody's help here to really continue to, to get this message out for children, which is something that every child needs to know, that the Bible's true, that God is real, and that God made them for a wonderful purpose in their lives.
Last question, and we're kind of restating things a little bit to end this interview, but when this legal battle with platforms like Google and TikTok is eventually behind you, what do you hope will have changed, not just for your company, TruPlay, but for the broader tech ecosystem?
That the models, these AI models that are used, have a foundation of Western Christian values, that they're based on things like respect for humanity, that they're based on things like truth and the value of human life and individual personal liberty rather than dominance and control and manipulation. And one of the ways AI can go, like you've seen the Terminator or the Matrix movies, that the machine eventually decides to kill the people because people just consume resources and get in their way. So that changes. And then secondly, that there's legislation that they can't actively discriminate against Christians because what's happened has gone too far. And it hasn't just been us. As I mentioned before, there have been other Christian organizations and charities that have been affected by this as well. That has to stop and be banned and be outlawed right now.
Again, we've been speaking with Brent Dusing. He's the CEO of TruPlay, and you can find out more information at TruPlayGames.com. Again, that's TruPlay Games, TruPlay Games.com. Brent Dusing, thank you so much for being my guest this week.
Thanks, Bruce. Great to be with you.
Hey, thank you for joining us this week. Really appreciate it. If you would, please like this video and subscribe to the Bruce Collins Show channel. That helps us a lot with the algorithm so we can spread this show over many eyeballs. Also, I have another channel if you're interested. It's Bruce Collins Reacts and Stuff, where I look at some of the mysterious, interesting videos out on YouTube and I react to them. I think you'll like that too. In the meantime, we'll see you next week. Thanks for joining us. Take care.
It's the Bruce Collins Show, where the stories breaking apart. It's the Bruce Collins Show. It's the Bruce Collins Show, where the stories flow. The theater of the mind, leave the world behind. Oh, the better broadcasting keeps the dream everlasting.
That's a wrap, falafelites. This has been a Bad Yodeler production. Good night.